Is it those who are very tall, physically fit, or handsome? If all three, then wow. Story 1. It is about accepting yourself and being validated by the fact that your partner, family, and friends accept you for who you are. Jealousy is just an emotion. Process it, nullify it, and put it away. Be satisfied with who you are, because you think of yourself far more often than others do. Story 2. Why do you care? Someone is always going to be bigger, faster, stronger, or better looking than you. Accept it, work to maximize what you are able to do, and do not worry about the next person. Story 3. Competition for what? For women. If a woman starts this competition, then I will dump her in a heartbeat. Bad human qualities are a deal breaker. For work, for money, professionalism has more value there, as well as human qualities. For overall life success, it is vague and subjective. How do you define success? Story 4. This is why you lower your standards. That is a safe bet to know those men are not going to be anywhere near those women. Story 5. If you are competing for a woman's attention, you are already losing. If she likes you, it will not matter how handsome a man is. She will be with you because of who you are. You cannot make someone like or love you. Either they do or they do not. Stay in your lane and focus on those who genuinely like you. If it is just about sex, the same sentiment still applies. Story 6. Life is a competition in general, I suppose, but you can only run your own race at the end of the day. Work on becoming your best self and let the cards fall where they may. You cannot control what another person has going on. Story 7. I think I am attractive enough and do not care if someone looks better than me. Someone's success does not mean anything about my own, as it is not a competition. If there is a woman I am interested in and she chooses someone else, I would not really care, as I want to be someone's first choice, which thankfully I am to my awesome significant other. Story 8. I am 5 feet 4 inches tall with an average physique, emotional challenges, and epilepsy. I used to believe every other man was better than me, which only made my partner and me more miserable. It is important to understand that your partner chose you because they like you for who you are. If there is competition, the partner is not worth keeping, no matter how much you want them to stay. You must accept yourself for who you are. Story 9. The same way that I don't get immediately scared whenever a man is bigger or stronger than me. I'm 5 feet 4 inches, 140 pounds. It's because I have trained and know how to handle myself. I'm no ninja, but I have a very significant advantage over an untrained man, even if he is larger than me, because skill matters greatly in a physical confrontation. The same applies to dating. Skill matters a lot. Obviously, it is not often going to make me super competitive against a tall, fit, handsome, rich, famous man with social skills equal to or better than mine, but I do not often find myself competing with Dwayne Johnson for girlfriends, so I do not really worry about that. Story 10. Spin everything around to yourself and rethink your anxieties. If you had a wife, logically, she might not be the most attractive person on the planet. But does that mean you would leave her or think less of her if a more attractive woman was in your presence? Of course not. Women and men are not that different. We are the same species. Of course, there are men who would leave their wives just because they found a more attractive and willing partner. None of us respect or think highly of them. It is the same the other way around. Story 11. I do not view attractiveness as a competition in general. If I did, I would realize that I am not in the same league as someone who is extremely attractive, and that is fine. There will always be someone more attractive than you. Story 12. Because they do not do it for everyone. There is an amazing woman out there who just rolled her eyes at a handsome man. You will meet her someday and have no clue how lucky you are to be yourself. Story 13. My little cousin is stunning, attractive, tall, and fit. Anywhere we go, he is usually surrounded by attractive girls or has them messaging him afterward. He dates and hooks up with 8 out of 10 girls almost every weekend. I have had cases where random girls chat with me directly just to get his number or ask if he is single. I've even seen a girl in an active relationship ready to dump her boyfriend in a heartbeat if my cousin decided to commit to her. Not going to lie, I'm a little bit envious. That being said, the girls he dates do not stick around after one night or so. The girls who were attracted to him lose interest pretty quickly once it becomes clear that Mr. Casanova is not as dreamy as he seems. At the end of the day, he still goes back to his routine, never able to build a quality relationship. Turns out that women take rejections a lot more seriously than men, so stunning, attractive guys actually walk a tightrope. Story 14. I am over 40, unattractive, and have never had a chance anyway. I have known this since I was 12. There is no reason to see other men as competition when I could not compete even if my soul depended on it. Story 15. I think I probably have more Reddit karma than him. That is my version of contributing to society. Story 16. I have an incredibly attractive Latina girlfriend with a gorgeous smile, an amazing body, and the most incredible personality. She is my best friend and, for some reason, is absolutely head over heels for me. I do not see anyone as competition. I have already won. I have the gold medal. Story 17. Most of the very attractive men I know are either gay, in a relationship, not very smart, or shorter than me. But mostly because I am married. There is no competition left. I have won that game. Story 18. They are not competition because I am barely even in the game. I know my league, and they probably go for women in higher leagues as well. Also, extremely attractive men who know they are attractive might intimidate women. Story 19. When you are appreciative of yourself and what you bring to the table, you will not see others as competition. Story 20. Because they are not competing with me, I am not attractive enough to even consider the idea of a relationship. Story 21. It is not a competition if I am so far below them that I am not even on the field. I am barely in the parking lot. Story 22. I don't feel like I'm in competition with any man. If I was talking with a woman and then saw she was talking and flirting with another man, she can have him. I'm not bothered. I'm focused on myself. Story 23. I have been with my wife for 12 years. You are going to have to bring much more than looks to the table to steal her from me, and I am not talking about money either. So yes, I do not worry about competition. I treat my wife like a human being. Story 24. Competing for looks is typically a female behavior, not a male one. I have seen and known many men who were more appealing to women, and I still became good friends with most of them. Personally, I find it silly to waste time being envious of someone's appearance, regardless of gender. Insecurity is not an attractive quality, and even the most gentle person can detect it from a distance. Story 25. The more attractive a man is, the less his personality needs to develop. I am convinced that men became funny and charming as a way to be more attractive to women than a boring man with good looks alone. I am pretty average looking in the face and have a bit of a dad bod. But I consistently punched above my weight class when I was single because I am good at making people laugh and smile. In my hobbies, like acting, I do view very attractive men as competition because looks go much further there. But then I rely on working harder to develop more talent than the random handsome man who shows up and thinks charm alone will be enough to get roles. However, there are extremely handsome men who are also funny, kind, or talented in your field. At that point, I do not see them as competition because I know it will not be a competition. I just think, you lucky person, and move on, accepting my place in the pecking order. Story 26. Attractive people are often challenged. They have to work extra hard to maintain a normal outlook and a humble demeanor. It is easy to become arrogant and self-absorbed. When you see a very attractive man or woman, they have different priorities and expectations. If you are average or slightly above average and are pursuing or being pursued by one of these individuals, know that they can be very fickle. Story 27. Competition is a state of mind, mostly not worth anyone's time. Spend time on women for whom you are important. There are many more of them than us. There is always someone to engage with. Story 28. Because nothing is competition unless you are making the conscious decision to compete with someone. Unless you are actually in competition for something, there is no reason to compete with anyone else. That stems from insecurity with yourself. You are not viewing attractive men as competition. You are viewing yourself as inadequate. Stop doing that. Be yourself, work on the things about yourself that you do not like, and stop worrying about other men. Story 29. Funny enough, competition has been ingrained in most boys at a very early age. It is because they are bombarded with it that they grow out of viewing everything as competition. Sadly, social media has made the new generation feel more insecure, but I believe many boys build each other up. Life is hard enough. Story 30. Plenty of fish in the sea is a played-out expression, but it holds up on a logical basis. There are thousands of potential romances available to you at any given time and essentially all the time. Focusing on what the attractive person is involved with is a waste of your time and energy. I will tell you a secret. When I want to step out that way, the attractive person at the bar is the most uninteresting person in the entire room. Story 31. If the woman can be easily swayed from our relationship to someone more attractive, she is doing me a favor. I am better off finding someone else or staying alone than spending my life concerned about whether she will leave. Story 32. Basically, I have accepted that I'm not blessed with great genetics nor willing to go to the extremes to mold myself to an ideal, and that's okay. I have my own talents and advantages, and I think I'm all right for it. Age does give you that grace as well. You realize who you are and you've done all right, perhaps in spite of or because of who you are, or both. I was once faced with this literal Greek god of a man at the local pool, super tall, lean, muscular swimmer's body, and a face that belonged on a magazine cover. I seriously started to question my sexuality right there and then. He was so ridiculously good-looking he was almost a caricature. It was also at that point I fully realized that you just cannot compete with this kind of freak to such a degree that there is no competition. You're not even in the race. And that's okay. I like to think that guy was dumb as a brick wall, the one thing I would perhaps have over him, but I will never want to know because I like that comforting idea that no one is the complete package. Story 33. 1. They might not want what I want. Self-worth is detached from how I look because I know what I value in myself. I have been loved for having a pretty face before, which is not comparable to being loved for who you are. I genuinely do not want to compete for my partner. If she has to choose between me and someone else, please choose them. I am not an option. I wish the world well. That very attractive man, good for him. I hope he wins his battles and succeeds in life. Story 34. Because I am a realist and recognize that there is no competition, just admire them and move on unless there is something about them you cannot move on from, in which case, congratulations on coming out. Find me an individual who occupies the same space as I do in a social setting with similar age, physicality, and personality, and I will go Highlander on them real quick to get rid of them. There can only be one. Story 35. Life has its ups and downs. I have had my moments in the spotlight and have made a difference. The only person I compete with is myself. Story 36. A situation happened a few months ago that made me open my eyes and realize that nobody is worth fighting over. If your partner is going to cheat, there is nothing you can do to stop it. Therefore, seeing other men as competition is pointless. Story 37. Because I don't compete directly like that. If a woman's attention is directed to some very attractive men instead, then he has her attention 100% as far as I am concerned. Story 38. Well, everyone is in competition. One just needs some self-worth to know what they bring to the table and that it will be enough for a partner. If they are tempted away, then it wasn't enough for them. But that doesn't mean I am not enough, just not for them. That's brilliant when they go away instead of wasting my time and settling for me. I mean, it hurts when they leave, which is normal, but in the end, that is good for me and for them. I still think it's hard to stay together for long, like decades anyway. People are always tempted. The grass is greener. Some leave, some don't. People change, some not so much. That is kind of normal to me based on what I have experienced so far. Story 39. Does not bother me at all. She can look all she wants, but if she instigates something, her actions will be exposed the next day. Story 40. Because attractiveness is like weight class in boxing. If I am not attractive enough to have a chance with the women in his group, then the women in my group are not attractive enough to have a chance with him. Story 41. I am competitive for purpose, not based on perception. I do not compare other people's attractiveness to my own. Story 42. Because they are not your competitors, they are after a different game. If I really wanted to improve my chances with much more attractive women, I would eat only chicken and broccoli and lift weights all day, every day. If I am not prepared to do that, then I will go after women in my own attractiveness bracket, whom men who are exceptionally attractive are not interested in anyway. Story 43. I'm tall and fit, but handsome is subjective. Focus on yourself, brother. Comparison is the thief of joy, and jealousy does not serve you. Story 44. I know my girlfriend finds other men attractive. She knows I find other women attractive. Takes too much energy to be jealous. Story 45. I don't have the greatest self-esteem, so if I went around thinking of other men as competition, I would have an aneurysm. Besides, self-confidence is as important as, if not more than, looks. Style also helps a lot. Grooming is very important and often disregarded by men. My wife is way out of my league, but she loves me, so I guess I have something going for me. Story 46. There is more than beauty, but there is no competition. Do you also see wealthy people as more successful than you? Story 47. Not actually. If anything, I look up to them and see what they can do well when dating. Honestly, it is 50% confidence, and if you are able to copy that, you are golden. Generally, I do not feel like men are catty in this regard. Story 48. Because I am not in a race. Them being attractive or not is not any of my problems. Like many non-problems in life, I ask myself, why would I care and continue with my life? Story 49. I don't feel like men compete that much outside their weight class. The only contender is the legitimately funny guy. Story 50. There's plenty of space for all of us. I am not everyone's type, and neither is that other handsome man. Maybe she likes dark hair. Maybe she likes beards. Maybe she likes pale men, ethnic men, hairy men, or athletic men. We can all find someone compatible. Story 51. The woman I want would not want anyone other than me. I'm a lot more than my physical appearance or charisma. We fit each other so perfectly there's no space for someone else to come between us, so it's just not an option. Even when single, I've never seen other men as competition. It's not about them, it's about her. A woman is not going to want me by default, simply because there isn't something better around, certainly not any woman I'd want to be with. A potential partner will want me if I'm right for her as an individual. I continue being myself, being a moral leader, pursuing my own wants and needs, and behaving in a way that presents my best self. The right partner who matches my energy will be drawn to that regardless of who else is around. Story 52. One of my best friends is a stunningly handsome man. He is a former stand-up comedian, so he is also really funny. He has a great job, a cool wife, and sweet kids. But you know what? I love my life. I have an amazing wife and kids. I enjoy my job, and I have great friends. Your only competition is yourself. Story 53. I am 6 feet 4 inches, 193 centimeters, tall and still handsome, I think. When I was younger and quite fit, I was acquainted with a 6 feet 8 inches, 203 centimeters, tall man who was chiseled like a Greek god. I realized then that even though I was playing at a high level, he was on the all-star team. I could never get the kind of instant reactions with women that he did. That said, I did not have the experience to compete well even in my own league back then. Are they really competition if you never truly had a chance at all? Story 54. The question is loaded. Boys compete all the time but differently than women, and it is not about how attractive one is. If you ask the question differently, you would get a better response. My computer is the best in the world. My dad has more money than yours. Our car has more horsepower. I am the quickest is what you hear from boys. Men do not compete based on how they look but on what they have. It is about who is the most manly, has more possessions, and wins the most. Being manly is defined as physically strong and stoic in our society. Therefore, many answers are of the type, I do not compete and know what I am worth. They will compete over who has the most muscles, though it does not matter if a woman finds it aesthetically pleasing or not. Men have also competed enough since childhood that they realize they cannot be the best at everything, and trying to compete in certain things just does not make sense. Instead, You focus on 2 or 3 attributes, abilities, or possessions that make you stand out. If you ask men what they are best at or what makes them stand out, most will answer with whatever they feel they can compete best at. With the world to compete in, many are aware they might still not be number one, so to protect their ego, they limit it geographically or use other mechanisms. That is why sports is more of a man thing. If you cannot win personally at it, at least the person, group, or team can in your place. It is a transferred competition. Story 55. I am in a 24-year-long, happy, committed relationship. I know my wife does not want anyone other than me, and she knows the same of me. Story 56. My biggest competition is myself. My confidence, my eating, my exercise routine, my work ethic in terms of my job, my sleep, my self-care. I don't even think about other men as competitors. If I master the above, then success will come. Story 57. For the most part, it has never been a direct competition. They will get the people who find them attractive, and I will get the ones who find me attractive. It is harder for those of us who consider ourselves less attractive, but that does not mean you will not find someone attractive. Story 58. I'm sure I do, subconsciously. But I also don't date, and I know that what I, as a straight man, would call an attractive man probably isn't perceived that way by women. The male ideal tends to differ from what women find attractive. As someone who has been considered attractive in the past, I can definitely say that men and women treat you differently when you are fit. Another factor is intimidation. You get treated differently if you look like you could overpower people. Story 59. Why would a base model Honda Civic look at a BMW M3 and think it is their competition? A Honda Civic knows its selling points are fuel efficiency, reliability, and longevity. It knows it cannot compete with a BMW M3, so it focuses on the segment where it can compete. Story 60. Competing for what? I am married. My wife is not going anywhere. I have a good job, a home, and a family. I am not in any competition. I am just living my life. Story 61. Since you only talk about physical attributes, the answer is easy. Looks do not matter, seriously. That is not just some random phrase people throw around. If looks are the only thing you focus on, then any relationship you have is doomed to fail. You have to realize that personality and character are what matter, not if someone looks like an underwear model. So if I am out with my girlfriend and we see someone handsome or beautiful, we can both appreciate and enjoy the view. But that is all there is to it, really. Story 62. Play to your strengths. If you are funny or empathetic or have other qualities, use them. You can offer things other people cannot. Story 63. What about all the people who are shorter, less fit, and less handsome than you? Should they all just give up because you exist? Attractiveness is only one aspect of a person, just like some people are amazing parents, chefs, employees, or entrepreneurs. Don't get bogged down in the details. Focus on what you can improve and what makes you happy. Believe me, working only on things that make you attractive to the opposite sex is not a way to find happiness. Story 64. Because I don't need to. I don't know if I am attractive. I have always seen myself as not super attractive, but most people, I guess, would think that way. However, I have never had any issues getting relationships or long-term commitments. I am not saying that to brag, but I have had 3 relationships since I was 18. I am now 42 and have had a total of 1 year of breaks in between these, so I must be doing something correct. Story 65. For all you know, the man may be unpleasant. Women also have varying levels of taste. Being attractive is helpful to secure initial attention and conversation, but your intelligence and personality are what truly matter. Story 66. Well, first off, there is nothing I can realistically do about it, so why worry at all? Second, that is not really how women in general choose their partners. From my experience, looks seem to be pretty far down their list of what they are looking for. Being attractive might get you in the door easier, but it honestly does not mean much for long-term relationships. Story 67. The ugly man falls in love. He has a good attitude. He is intelligent and acts selflessly to win her over. There are many ways, There are many books on seduction and psychology. Using search engines can help you a lot. Story 68. There are billions of women. If one chooses someone else, that is fine. Let us go find another, more attractive one. Story 69. There is a strong correlation between attractive males having had less need to develop an interesting personality while growing up. Without the looks, there is typically little else to compensate. Additionally, it serves as a filter to remove superficial females from consideration, as no one wants to live with someone attracted only to surface appearances. Story 70. Because it is not a competition for me. If a woman is interested in me, then she is interested in me. If she is not, she is not. I do not go after women who do not want me. If you just want to have sex, then become friends with the attractive man. He cannot have sex with all of them. You will be the consolation prize. Story 71. Because I do not worry about being the best of the best or trying to pursue every woman I can. I am not the lowest common denominator. I am content with my group. Story 72. I work out at a gym and routinely see some Greek god-looking guys working out. They are half my age and amazingly fit. With that, I also know what they do to look like that, and it is a full-time job. They date other athletes and only know about athletic activities. Keeps reminding me that there are always trade-offs. He may be attractive, but he does not own a house or have interests outside of work and working out. We all have our strengths. We are all leaders in the correct situations. Story 73. If I feel like I could defeat someone in a fight, why would I care what they look like? When I grew up, fighting was an accepted way to resolve conflicts. Even now, I subconsciously feel superior to someone I believe I could beat in a fight. A man may be more fit, better looking, have more money, or have a bigger presence, but who cares if they are weak? This is probably a trait of toxic masculinity, but here we are. Story 74. This might be a really simple question, but competition for what exactly? Why would I care if another person is handsome? Story 75. Competition for what? The question does not make sense to me. For women, there are billions of them. I think the real answer is that I am not insecure. Story 76. Through the belief that no one is superior or inferior, just different. I can celebrate differences and lift others up. Nothing is sexier than kindness. Story 77. I do not view attractive men as competition because I am comfortable in my own skin and will continue enjoying my life. I accept who I am with all my limitations and flaws. Story 78. Kevin Gates will always have the most iconic quote of all time. Who I am, I am. Who I'm not, I'll never be. I don't think of them as competition. That's just another man out there being himself. Story 79. Competition for women, presumably? I don't know. I don't think people are a sliding scale of value based on looks. I have my own thing. They have theirs. Story 80. Not all women are attracted to the same traits, just like men. Some women prefer a tall, tan jawline and six-pack abs, but others love a dad bod or something different. You might be surprised. Find someone who is genuinely attracted to what you have. Also, I think most women prioritize personality traits when it comes to attraction, while men tend to prioritize physical traits. Story 81. Specifically for me, I trust my wife. I have already won the competition as far as I am concerned. My thoughts for the general population. The best anyone can do is be their authentic self. When a man is his authentic self, he is living at his peak. If the real and authentic me is not enough because some other man is taller than I am, then she is not the one. Story 82. Because I know I am worth less than the dirt I am standing on, it is not like I am even in the competition anyway. Story 83. Because I have lived long enough to know that women are all different from each other and are attracted to all kinds of unique qualities. Story 84. Well, the kind of women that give them attention do not give it to me, so it is like playing football among friends versus playing between professionals. Story 85. Competition for what? Original poster, you are insecure. Consider working on that. You are your only competitor. Story 86. They have their own qualities to offer, just like a very attractive woman. Some people prefer someone smart, fun, or reliable. Consider how difficult everyone can be sometimes. Our culture feels like a constant extreme experience of people being offended and chaotic. You said words I don't like: toxic, banned, cancelled. Now let me head over to social media to criticize the opposite gender for this injustice. Just being calm and dependable can be like morphine in today's world. Story 87. The same way I do not view professional drivers or astrophysicists as competition. I do not care. Everybody has talents and weaknesses, some more than others. Story 88. Casanova is pursuing perfect models to connect with. I am happy simply finding someone I am not repulsed by, with whom I can connect and form a lifelong partnership. I am literally looking for different things in life. There is basically no overlap. Story 89. Do not think of the world as a zero-sum game. There are enough blessings and hardships for everyone to have a share in each. Story 90. I'm not a Christian, but few things put my mind at ease like the Serenity Prayer. I ask for the strength to change what I can, the patience to accept what I cannot, and wisdom to tell the difference. Viewing them as competition yields no results, only grief and negative emotions. You cannot control how different appearances are valued by modern aesthetic standards. So, do not engage in such games and you will avoid unnecessary frustration. Story 91. We all have flaws. That makes me happy to know we are not all perfect. Unless it is a job based on looks, then I would not see the point. I choose to compliment. Story 92. Honestly, I do not care. I just think, that is a hot guy. Then I move on with my life knowing my wife is going to be there when I get home. Competitions ended a while ago. Story 93. In my opinion, the question itself reveals the answer. Competition over what specifically? Why would you and these highly attractive men be interested in the same thing? Are you even in the same competitive space? The question is framed too broadly in that sense. If I were to assume we are talking about women, I would say this: usually a man is fine with one woman. There are not enough highly attractive men to steal them all, nor are there enough to satisfy all the women if they were distributed evenly among those men. Also, there is no need to compete with them in the superficial spaces of social media or dating applications. So I do not really worry much about any of that because it does not seem relevant at all. Story 94. I will not go with them to a place where I want to have any chance of meeting women. Otherwise, I never really thought much about their existence. Story 95. Being tall, I can't help it, but I am 5 feet 10 inches, so I am not complaining. I cannot help being unattractive. This is the face God gave me. I often hide it behind a beard, though. I could be more fit, but food tastes too good. I do try to work out, but life is busy, so adding more gym time is difficult. But alas, my wife still likes me. Sometimes I think. Story 96. Because I am a man and I have the same 24 hours as every other man, I am not going to waste energy and time focusing on another man. I will focus on myself. Also, jealousy is a feminine emotion. Real players congratulate. Story 97. Confident, attractive men can be threatening or boring to some women. Some women I have met are turned off by aspects that suggest a man will not treat her with respect or kindness, or that suggest they are shallow people. Being too conventionally attractive can communicate that. However, I do not think it is a high proportion of women. Story 98. Married a loyal woman who adores me. I treat her well and make her feel loved. I have nothing to worry about. Story 99. I have a girlfriend. She wants to date me. She likes that my height is close to hers. She likes my look, and she loves my personality. She would never date the 6'7" football star who is very handsome because that would be a mismatch personality-wise. She likes my nerdy and hilarious comments. Story 100. The same way my wife does not view the attractive, slender blonde with large breasts as competition. A successful marriage is built on much more than just looks. Story 101. I like to think that maybe they have erection problems because of seeing too many attractive girls naked in their lives and consider myself lucky. Story 102. I am short, overweight, and not particularly attractive, but I know the best places to eat. If she is with me and looking at a tall, fit, handsome guy, I do not understand why she is with me since we are clearly not the same type. The joke is on her though. I am the catch, not that guy. Story 103. Because value in a person is not inherent to looks. Being creative, thoughtful, and charming is far more important to finding someone attractive. Everyone has their own preferences, and what is attractive to some people may not be the same for others. A tall, fit, well-put-together person can be someone you might aspire to be superficially, but you cannot assume that their looks make them successful. Appearance is great, but it does not determine everything. Another way to think about it is how most people view politicians as not very physically attractive, but they are charming and good at communicating. They dress professionally and carry themselves well, even if they are not tall or muscular. People listen to them and support them, and many are not the ideal model of masculinity or femininity. Appearance is only one aspect of getting noticed and gaining attention. Story 104. Many people will always be better than me, many will not. I accepted this a long time ago. Quite frankly, I am grateful that I do not have any disabilities and had an emotionally and financially stable upbringing. There are many people who were essentially doomed by factors outside their control. Story 105. They are not me and will never be me. If that is what she likes, then there really is no competition. If the superficial is enough to change her mind, then they can have her because I do not even want someone like that. Story 106. A man's only competition is himself. How many ridiculously attractive men are out there? Not many. Certainly not enough to take all the good women and leave none for the rest of us. If a woman is available, it is up to me whether I succeed. Story 107. I just don't know. I am not what my parents thought or wanted based on my physical appearance. That being said, I am above average and I am very content with myself. Story 108. I just don't really care about any person. If there is competition, that means interest in me isn't singular, so I don't need to care because they aren't worth my time. I look at one person and they are looking at me. I'm thinking about them, and they are doing the same to me. In the same way, my interest in someone is solely focused on that one person. My girlfriend has yet to understand this. I don't even see other women as an option. They may be attractive, but they are of no interest to me in that matter. So other guys just don't matter or become an actual thought, and they never have. Story 109. A good friend of mine is a 6'2", 220-pound blonde police officer. He is very funny and has muscles on top of muscles. Women are attracted to him, especially when he is riding his motorcycle. Am I jealous? Yes, but unless he is pursuing the women I like, it does not bother me. I am happy for him and hope things go well because he has qualities I wish I had. That is motivation for me to continue improving myself. I cannot hate him for being a hard worker who was genetically blessed. Story 110. Who says I don't? In fact, I use that to motivate myself. When I see a fit man at the gym, I push myself to work 10 times harder when it comes to repetitions. It is a challenge. When I see a man dressed well on the street, I take mental notes and consider how I can tailor my wardrobe to achieve that look. You always have to find ways to push yourself. Otherwise, what is the point? Story 111. In the same way, I do not view LeBron as my competition when I play pickup basketball. We are playing in different leagues. Story 112. Well, there are some things out of your control. I also think if you have or have had a genuinely loving partner, it helps you overcome your insecurities. My ex validated me a lot, and my girlfriend is an incredibly kind, caring woman who loves me immensely. When you have a genuinely good and affectionate relationship, it really helps you move past your insecurities. I'm not saying be cocky, but it puts you in the right mental mindset. You only get that by putting in the hard work. Stop thinking about what you don't have and focus on being the best man you can be. My aunt always told me, a man's most important asset is his integrity, and that was some of the best advice I've ever received. Just focus on being the best person you can be. Story 113. Well, I am pretty good looking and tall myself, but I have never felt insecure or envious of other men. Life is a feast and it is all you can eat. Why be jealous when you can learn? Story 114. I am tall, fit, and handsome, so seeing other men like me does not bother me. There is always someone better than you out there. Story 115. Those are not my competition. We are not fishing in the same pond, brother. It is the average people I have to watch out for. Story 116. Personally, I am not looking for a partner. I would also say that every one of us has different internal and external features that may be interesting to someone else. Not everyone loves tall and muscular men. Story 117. I've always been seen as reasonably attractive, or so I have been told, and I really don't see other men as competition. I know I am some woman's type. I also lack self-confidence, so I don't know why a woman would choose me over a man who is supposedly more attractive than I am. I would think she has pretty low standards. Story 118. Because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. I could be more attractive to that particular woman than the man who is supposed to be ridiculously attractive. Plus, personality plays a big role in the equation. Story 119. Most ridiculously attractive men are less intelligent. Not all, but most. Why would I compete with unintelligent people? I do not want what they want. Story 120. We have been together for 8 years in a couple of weeks. We met during what I believe was high school in a different system. She was with me during some of the hardest times I had. My mother's accident, my father's illness, poverty, and mental health problems. She is a loyal, lovely woman whom I fully trust. As I started improving my health a couple of months ago, I am confident that if she cares about my current attractiveness level, she has the patience to wait for my visible progress. We both think my stomach is already smaller. In summary, I trust her. Story 121. The kind of traditionally handsome, in-shape, well-dressed, well-groomed man you describe is not competing with me for the kind of women I am interested in. Story 122. I am not someone to handle my reproductive matters as part of a constantly fighting group of males. It is one woman and me. There is no competition. If I am in a group of men, I am usually working with them, cooking for them, and there is no competing with me at a grill, if I may humbly say so, or drinking with them. On good days, all three activities together. Story 123. I'm staying in my league, but I guess if someone like Jason Momoa wants to steal my wife, I'm in trouble. Story 124. My friend already has a girlfriend who is not my type. I do not have to compete with him. There are plenty of girls around. Story 125. Looks only go so far. For men, it is about confidence and how you carry yourself. A man who is a 3 could impress a 10 with the right approach. Story 126. Because looks are not everything. There are many very handsome men who are either total creeps or lack charm and sophistication. Women talk. Once word gets around, that man's dating prospects are ruined, except for the women who just want him as a one-time conquest. Story 127. I am honest with myself about who I am. I own it. I am not the tallest or the best looking, but confidence in oneself goes a long way. Story 128. By realizing your purpose in life is not to beat everyone, and that even if it were, focusing on how other people are performing for any reason other than to learn is an uncompetitive strategy. It is your life. Live it fully. Story 129. Ridiculously attractive men are rare. Looks matter less to women than to men. I do get jealous of guys who have better bodies than me, but it is more a case of, damn, I've got to up my game. Story 130. But they are not competition, are they? We are not competing for the same women since we are in different leagues. Story 131. I don't look at men I am competing with on a look scale anymore. I would be willing to guess I am a bit more successful than them. If I were still chasing women, I am not competing with them. They are competing with me. Story 132. I do. That's why I work out, train hard, and try my best to make a lot of money. I also know they sleep with unattractive men who are broke losers, so there is always hope. Story 133. Because as men, we do not measure ourselves against our peers primarily based on looks. Being a perfect model has no correlation with being successful or wealthy. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.